19th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting. This is actually the first meeting we're going to convey, not in chambers, hybrid, so please be patient with us today. Please note this meeting is being attended by the planning commissioners and applicant via teleconference. We want to thank you for your patience as we navigate city business through this new meeting process. For the benefit of the public and as required by the Brown Act, all voting will be by roll call. I will now call the meeting to order. Before we begin, can I ask Commissioner Spatos to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Is he there?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mayor, can we have roll call? Secretary Cavanaugh, can I have a roll call, please?
So 1 second. They can't hear us?
You unmuted?
Yes, sure did.
Can you guys hear me now?
Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, Mary?
It'll be like a Verizon commercial.
Okay, start again. Commissioner Dominguez is absent. Commissioner Owens?
Here.
Commissioner Spathopoulos?
Present.
Vice Chair Prometa?
Present.
Chair Duarte?
Present. Okay, now's the time for any commissioner announcements and requests for future agenda items. Commissioner Owens, do you have anything to present?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Spatos?
None. Thank you.
Vice Chair Fermetta?
I have none.
Okay, and I have no announcements. Presentations. Community Development Director Schindler, do we have any presentations for tonight?
No presentations tonight, Chair Duarte.
Okay, Director Schindler, are there any city council actions to report on?
Nothing to report out tonight, Chair Duarte.
Okay, great. Now we can move on to public hearing item number 1. This is PLN-20-0045. Before I open the public hearing, does the Secretary have proof of publication?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. Director Schindler, can you introduce the staff person presenting this item?
Yes, thank you, Chair Duarte. Tonight we have our Associate Planner, Irving Anaya, to make the presentation. If we can ask your patience while the screen gets shifted over to Mr. Anaya and he attempts to share his screen and the PowerPoint presentation.
All right, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, Honorable Chair, Commissioners, and members of the audience. The item before you is a request for a conditional use permit to allow an indoor shrimp food production facility with a small retail component in an 18,140 square foot industrial building. The subject site is located at 12510 Columbia Way, immediately south of the Columbia Memorial Space Center, just east at the intersection of James Street and Columbia Way. The subject site is approximately 42,708 square feet in size, improved with the 18,140 square foot industrial building. The subject site is in the CM Commercial Manufacturing Zone, as shown on the zoning map. This specific zone allows food production facilities through an approval of a conditional use permit. And as previously mentioned, the site is improved with an empty industrial building, a little over 18,000 square feet in size. The site is also improved with 43 existing parking spaces, and based on the city's parking use table, the proposed use will require 41 parking spaces, thus having 2 additional parking spaces as surplus. As described in the applicant's business narrative and the proposed floor plan, the new use will occupy the existing structure's shell to create a retail space to sell the shrimp produced and packaged on site. The applicant is also proposing to create an office space for administrative purposes. Much of the building's interior space, about 90%, will be utilized for the overall operations of the shrimp production, much of which include large tanks, pumps, and filters. The facility's business hours will be Monday through Sunday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and operated by up to 12 staff members working all parts of the facility. However, due to the type of business, the facility will operate 24/7 since the tanks are required to run at all times to allow proper growing conditions and appropriate life support for the shrimp in the building. The facility will be monitored remotely during closed hours using special equipment and cell phone alarms. The applicant is also planning to create an educational atmosphere for the community through educational videos and later allowing special site visits to the facility to educate the public on the process of indoor shrimp production once the business is in full operation and state and health restrictions are revised and or lifted to allow the public to visit the facility. Ancillary to the proposed use and the interior improvements, the applicant will be cleaning up the subject site. Several items will include new exterior paint, the removal of an existing H chain link fence near the drive entrance. They're also going to be cleaning up the existing front planter, repaving the front parking area, replacing the front entrance gate, and new exterior building lighting. And lastly, they're going to be improving the driveway entrance to meet the current city standards, and that's also conditioned. So the request was reviewed by the city's design review committee, where one department did raise a condition to improve the driveway entrance to the current standards. And then all other departments included standard conditions, which have been included in the resolution under the conditions of approval. As such, this concludes staff's presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you for the presentation. Commissioner Owens, do you have any questions?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Spatos?
No questions at this time.
Vice Chair Fermetta?
I have no questions. Thank you.
I just have one question. This food manufacturing here, is there any issue in terms of nuisance from smell from the manufacturing, or is it just not an issue with this type of food?
Well, after speaking with the applicant, he stated that this type of process doesn't really create an odor, and so, but just to be sure, we actually included a condition. Oh, give me 1 second here. All right, sorry about that. We did include a condition on here, and that would be condition number 18, where the applicant shall implement any environmental control system. Let's see here, to prevent any odor going on to other properties, and basically the let's see here, satisfaction insertion codes. Yeah, so if we do receive any calls, you know, any lingering smells or odors to neighboring properties, that's something that we'll be looking into and ensuring that they've installed these filtration systems on the building itself.
Okay, great.
Mr. Chair, if I may add to that as well, there's also condition number 16 so that the trash enclosure also has to be picked up at a schedule so that if any odors do begin to arise from trash collection resulting from that, they would have to increase the frequency again to prevent any potential odors.
Thank you. And that was all the questions I had. Thank you for the presentation.
Chair, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is this company regulated by the AQMD in any way?
Yeah, so Public Works did include some conditions stating that they are required to go through that process and through the plan check process. Let's see here. Yeah, it would be, it's like condition number 52. Yeah, the owner must comply with all applicable federal, state, and local rules and regulations, American Disabilities Act, including compliance with South Coast Air Quality Management District regulations.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, if I may just add to that as well, essentially all businesses operating in the Southern California area are subject to Southern California Air Quality Management District. So again, if any future, complaints or odors or any of those items result, the city would be involved as well as AQMD.
Thank you very much. Okay, before we begin the public hearing, I'd like to remind members of the public participating telephonically that the city's meeting rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code prohibit any conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting, even if you're participating telephonically. Each speaker should have 3 minutes to address the commission. Members of the public wishing to address the Planning Commission regarding the public hearing for items PLN-20-0045 may now call our teleconference line at 562-299-6622. For those of you submitted comments via email, your comments will be read into the record and no further public comment via teleconference will be permitted. For those present and present today, so I will now open the public hearing. And we'll start by inviting the applicant to address the commission. And just to let the applicant know, this is your time to let us know about your project. And this is the only time you will be addressing the Planning Commission unless we reopen the public hearing. So be thorough.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for everyone here, and especially Planning Commission, the planning staff. It's definitely been unorthodox times for everybody. I think certainly it's always unorthodox as a small business owner, but this has been a really wild journey, and I thank everybody for their patience and their effort on our behalf. And I think it will pay dividends in the future for the city. Quickly, in response to the odor questions, I just felt like I could answer that. So we have the condition there, and it's important to understand that the growing of or producing of shrimp doesn't create any odors. Odors, we think of odors because we're used to the smell when you cook shrimp or when you don't handle shrimp or dispose of shrimp properly. So absolutely the condition's there for a reason. We'll put in filtration if anything comes up. I just wanted to mention that the actual production doesn't create any odors. Similar to if you're eating a fish tank, doesn't create odor unless the fish die. The other thing I wanted to tell you a little bit about is the reason why I'm doing this. So each year, the United States eats more shrimp than any other seafood. We eat almost 2 billion pounds, and that's more than double the salmon or tuna, which is in second place. Over 95% of the shrimp is imported. And when seafood's imported, it changes hands an average of 7 to 8 times before it reaches consumers. So this was something that in my travels around the world, growing fish and shrimp, and even before that as a biologist for the federal government, I realized that I needed to try to make an impact and make a change in this. Starting a farm in the middle of nowhere where there aren't a lot of consumers is doable, and it's certainly easier for permitting. It's easier for expenses, operating costs, but it's not going to have the impact that I want. So I'm bringing this to the city. I'm delighted to be bringing it to Downey so that we can really reach the community and educate as many folks as want to be educated about, where can you get a transparent, guaranteed product. And so we're starting with America's favorite seafood. Another little bit about our technology. Our first 3 employees have over 60 years experience in aquaculture. We come from very diverse backgrounds as well. My partner, Doug, is 65, and he's been doing this for 40 years, specifically indoor shrimp farming for 15. So this is certainly not something that we're just concocting and rolling the dice with. It's very calculated, and the system is proven. It recycles over 99%, actually nearly 100% of the water that we use, excuse me. And as part of that recirculation, not only do we produce shrimp, we also produce seaweed. So the seaweed, just like plants do for us, recycling our gases and also nitrogenous wastes, that's exactly what plants do in the ocean. So our system sort of completes nature's cycle and mimics what happens in nature. All of this, again, is to produce a product and to be a profitable business. But secondarily, every sale that we make, if we can educate people, we really know that if we can grow enough and scale enough, we'll change the way that shrimp is sourced and hopefully change the way we treat our environment, our laborers, and kind of the list of savings goes on and on. Last thing about the technology, we're about 1,000 times more efficient with space than a traditional farm. We're 1,000 times more efficient with water, and we're much more efficient with energy, though that's an area where we always continue to improve. I think that was mostly what I wanted to do, was give you a little idea of why I'm doing this, what exactly we're doing, address the odor question, and most of all, say thank you for everyone for helping me get to this point, for Irving's patients, as well as Crystal and everyone else. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Spatos, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I do, actually. Thank you, Chairman. As far as the retail side of your business, I know that you mentioned that the farming aspect of the shrimp is your marketing for restaurants and businesses, I'm assuming, to do purchases on a continual basis. The retail part that you're looking to incorporate into this plan, that's, I think, a certain small square footage of the actual building. What is that as far as how it pertains to your business? And in that retail, is that included in the presentations and education that you're going to be providing for the community or for kids? Or can you explain or elaborate a little on that part of your business?
Yes, thank you. So it's, as Irving mentioned, it's about 600 square foot room in the front of the building where you walk in. And the idea there was to have a place where we could sell directly. It would help us with the cost of the sale. In that room, one side will be an area where you can have fresh shrimp harvested that day, and you can pick up some shrimp and leave. On the other wall opposite, we'll have some educational materials, some small setups, or like a small area that so we'll show you a little bit about what happens in there. We'll have some video screens with some security footage showing what's going on at the farm. And there's a large glass door where you can sort of see into the farm. Hopefully that answers mostly your question. If you had any more questions, let me know. Lastly, the bulk of our sales in the beginning will be at local farmers markets in the region. And so this helps us to generate revenue without having to pack up and go to the market every day. It also allows us to engage the community.
Thank you.
Any further questions, Commissioner Spatos?
That's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Owen, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No, thank you, Mr. Sutton, for explaining and drilling down into purpose, as well as, interest, interest being your business, purpose, is providing, as you had stated. So thanks for that. But I have no questions at this time.
Great, thank you.
Vice Chair Fermetta?
I want to thank you, Sutton, for the well presented information on your business. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. My only question would have been if I'd like to get a sample, but it's not possible today. But thank you for your presentation, and I have no further questions for you. So,
Sample's coming soon.
yeah, great. Secretary Kavanaugh, may I have the first speaker on the phone?
Chair Duarte, there are no calls for public comment.
Okay. Secretary Kavanaugh, do we have any written public comment on this item, PLN-20-0045, to be read into the record?
Yes, we do. From Jim Rodriguez, sent Tuesday, August 18th, 2020, regarding 12510 Columbia Way, transparency. Dear Planning Commissioners, I would like to express support for this project. After reading the CUP agenda package, it appears that this usage is well suited for the neighborhood. The improvements Steve is willing to make, including the facade improvements, painting, landscaping, lighting, asphalt resurfacing, as well as the new iron gate, should add the property aesthetics and the area as a whole. Add to the property aesthetics and the area as a whole. The retail aspect doesn't appear to be any problem given the 43 parking spaces and is really more suited to the changing landscape of the area. The overall concept seems like it would be a good improvement for the area as well as the city of Downey as a whole. As a property owner in the area, I welcome and support this usage and this applicant. Regards, Jim Rodriguez.
Great.
And that is the only public comment we have, the written public comment.
Okay, great. We don't have council chambers, but do we have anybody present over Zoom?
One moment, we're confirming.
Mr. Chairman, there are no speakers.
Okay, great. So we will now close the public hearing. We now deliberate and we'll take turns asking the commissioners on their comments. Commissioner Owens, what are your comments?
So I agree with the correspondent, I believe to be past chairman emeritus of our planning commission, and Commissioner Rodriguez. I appreciate his comments and picking out which seems to be pretty obvious, to me and maybe the rest of you. This is a well-suited project for the area. It's something Downey doesn't have, something the region doesn't have that I know of. That building is in tired shape. These improvements will enhance it tremendously. I fully support it. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Spatos?
I agree. I support this project. I think it's well thought out. Great presentation. I think it's a welcome business in the city of Downey. Great presentation. Thank you.
Vice Chair Fermetta.
Actually, I'm very excited about this business. I would like to actually take a tour of this business once it's on its feet and operating. I'm fascinated by the presentation and everything I've read. I like to see that. I'm excited that you have chosen Downey to start your business, and I wish you the best. Thank you for coming to Downey.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Yeah, I echo the Vice Chair's statements. I'm pretty excited about this. I also want to, get in there and take a look at how everything operates. And I'm excited that this business has chosen Downey to open here. And, again, I can't wait to taste. But, those are my comments. So I think we are all pretty unanimous here about the project. Do we have anything that anybody wants to discuss, or do we have a motion in a second?
I'd motion that we approve PLN-20-0045, the conditional use permit for 12510 Columbia Way.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, great. We have a first, second. Mary, you take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Dominguez is absent. Commissioner Owens?
Aye.
Commissioner Spathopoulos,
Aye.
Vice Chair Fermetta,
Aye.
and Chair Duarte.
Aye.
And the motion passes with 4 in favor and Commissioner Dominguez absent to approve PLN 20-00045 conditional use permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Congratulations to the applicant. And now we will move on to non-agenda public comments. So before we begin the non-agenda public comment period, I'd like to remind members of the public participating telephonically the city meeting rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code prohibit any conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting, even if you're participating telephonically. Each speaker should have 3 minutes to address the commission on issues within the commission's jurisdiction. Members of the public wishing to address the planning commission regarding non-agenda public comments only may now call our teleconference line at 562-299-6622. Submitted comments via email. Your comments will be read into the record, and no further public comment via teleconference will be permitted. For those present in the council chambers, your comments will be taken after phone and email comments are provided. Secretary Conwell, may I have the first speaker on the phone?
Chair Duarte, there are no calls for public comment.
Do you have any written public comment on non-agenda public items?
There are no written comments.
Excuse me, can you guys hear me? Steve. Yeah, sorry. I was trying to get attention and I didn't want to interrupt, but I wanted to make one more comment about our proposal and the vote happened. But
The applicant, hey, Steve, if I can interrupt, if you heard what the chair said at the beginning of the meeting, unfortunately, your opportunity to speak is when the public hearing was open, and unfortunately, we closed it. We do want to congratulate you that your project's been approved, and I think you heard the accolades. And so now we're moving on to the remainder of our meeting. And if you like, you could submit something in writing or talk to staff, and we can convey your sentiments to the Planning Commission as well.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great, thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Is there anyone in Zoom that has a comment from the non-agenda public comments?
No, there's not.
Okay, so now going on to consent calendar. And I'll say, before we begin the consent calendar comment period, I'd like to again remind members of the public participating telephonically that the city's meeting rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code prohibit any conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting, even if we are participating telephonically. Each speaker should have 3 minutes to address the commission on consent calendar items. Members of the public wishing to address the Planning Commission regarding consent calendar items only may now call our teleconference line at 562-299-6622. For those who submitted comments via email, your comments will be read into the record, and no further public comment via teleconference will be permitted. For those present in the council, nobody's present in the chambers, but with that said, Secretary Conwell, may I have the first speaker on the phone?
We have no calls, Chair.
Okay. Is there anybody who has submitted written public comment?
There are no written comments.
And anybody on Zoom?
There are no public speakers.
Okay, we will now close the consent calendar public comments.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the consent calendar items 2, 3 as written on our agendas.
Second.
Okay. First, second, Mary, can we take a roll call vote?
Yep. Fermetta got the second?
Commissioner Dominguez is absent. Commissioner Owens?
Aye.
Commissioner Spathopoulos?
Aye.
Vice Chair Fermetta?
Aye.
And Chair Duarte.
Aye.
And the motion passes to approve the consent calendar. Thank you.
Thank you. Now going on to other business here. Director Schiller, do you have any staff comments?
No comments tonight, sir.
Okay. With no comments, this meeting is adjourned at 7:08. Thank you, or 7:03, sorry.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. Have a good night.